Hey everybody, it's me, Marquita.
I'm Jerry.
Me, Savannah, and my name is Baby.
Yeah, baby's over there.
Baby needs to sleep.
No, she doesn't.
Yes, it's late for baby. Go ahead. And today we are doing... Yes, we said hi to Hannah. Today is June the 19th, Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth. For everyone, a little synopsis. Not synopsis. You know what, Kita? Don't use big words. Sorry. I was trying to be fancy and use a big word, but not everything needs to have a big word. A little description of how I understand what Juneteenth is Juneteenth is the day that Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation to free the slaves. So, enhance Happy Juneteenth Independence Day, or Happy Slavery Independence Day. I don't know, however you want to say it. Happy Juneteenth. Okay. And we're coming here. We did a video last year on Juneteenth. You can check that out. It should be in this playlist of Jumpstart June. What I want to try to use that old video, but I couldn't find the clips, and I couldn't find what I was looking for because I was just going to recycle it. But so I looked up a little something, so this is kind of thrown together because it's like an hour till midnight, so this is kind of thrown together. But hopefully y'all enjoy it. Hopefully you learn something. My motto is, if you know better, do better. And if you knowledge is free, to an extent. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we're going to discuss 12 things that you might not know about Juneteenth.
Okay.
There is more than one Independence Day in the U.S. On June 19th, 1865, General Gordon Granger rode into Galveston, Texas, and announced that slaves were now free. Since then, June 19th has been celebrated as 19th across the nation. I mean, Juneteenth across the nation.
Yeah, Juneteenth. Yeah.
Where here's what you should know about the historic event and celebration. The June 19 announcement came more than 2.5 years after Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January the 1st, 1863. So technically, from the Union's perspective, the 250,000 slaves in Texas were already free, but none of them were aware of it, and no one was in a rush to inform them.
It's going.
Okay. News traveled slowly back in those days. It took Confederate soldiers in western Texas more than 2 months to hear that Robert E. Lee had surrendered at Appomattox. Still, some have struggled to explain the 30-month gap between the proclamation of freedom, leading some...
No, hey, okay, there we go.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just in case you didn't hear that, I'm going back. It led some to suspect that Texan slave owners purposely suppressed the announcement. Other theories include that the original messenger was murdered murdered to prevent the information from being relayed, and that the federal government purposely delayed the announcement to Texas in order to get one more cotton harvest out of the slaves. But the real reason is probably that Lincoln's proclamation simply wasn't enforceable in the rebel states before the end of the war.
Yeah. As you can say, when he said Robert E. Lee, popped in my head Mame. If y'all ever seen that play, y'all will understand. It's basically about Robert E. Lee. But anyways, my sister Kia did Mame. Is it
Bang.
Am I saying it right? M-A-M-N-E? Mame?
Mame?
I think it's Mame.
M-A-M-E would be Mame.
Yeah, I think it's Damn prostitute. You made it.
The song that's like the musical Mame.
Yeah. Mame.
Mame,
Yeah. Mame. You make our black-eyed peas and our greens. Mame. Anyhow.
Because the people of Texas are informed that in accordance with the proclamation from the executive of the United States, the slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves. And the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. The freedmen are advised to remain quietly at their present home and work for wages. They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts, and that they will not be supported in idleness either.
What's idleness?
Not doing anything.
Okay.
There or elsewhere. Let's see that.
Okay.
Obviously, most former slaves weren't terribly interested in staying with the people who had enslaved them, even if pay was involved. In fact, some were leaving before Granger had finished making the announcement. What followed was called the scatter, when droves of former slaves left the state to find family members or more welcoming accommodation in northern regions.
Okay, so Beauregard, my little son, not my real son, my son's namesake. Anyways, if y'all watch my family, y'all understand who Beauregard is. Beauregard. You have to say it like that. He was a Confederate soldier from Louisiana, or the Nolans and all that. So I do know about the original real Beauregard. I like weird names, and that name to me is weird.
Texas is a large state, and General Granger's order and troops to enforce it were slow to spread. According to historian James Smallwood, many enslavers deliberately suppressed the information until after the harvest, and some beyond that. In July 1867, there were 2 separate reports of slaves being freed, and one report of a Texas horse thief named Alex Simpson, whose slaves were only freed after his hanging in 1868.
That's sad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Despite the announcement, Texas slave owners weren't too eager to part with what they felt was their property. When legally freed slaves tried to leave, many of them were beaten, lynched, or murdered. They would catch freed slaves swimming across the Sabine River and shoot them. A former slave named Susan Merritt recalled.
I don't know.
Okay. When freed, slaves tried to celebrate the first anniversary of the announcement a year later. They were faced with a problem. Segregation laws were expanding rapidly, and there were no public places or parks they were permitted to use. So in the 1870s, former slaves pulled together $800 and purchased 10 acres of land, which they deemed Emancipation Park. It was the only public park and swimming pool in the Houston area that was open to African Americans until 1950s. Where's the next one? You ready?
Yep.
Okay. It wasn't because people no longer wanted to celebrate freedom, but as Slate so eloquently put it, it's difficult to celebrate freedom when your life is defined by oppression on all sides. Juneteenth celebrations waned during the era of Jim Crow laws until the Civil Rights Movement.
That's when it started, right? Because they said after the emancipation that's when Jim Crow laws started, right?
Well, it's around that. I was getting to that.
Okay.
The Civil Rights Movement in the 1960s, that's when his law was.
Okay.
When the Poor People's March, planned for Martin Luther King Jr., was purposely scheduled to coincide with the date.
Did she take her medicine?
The march brought Juneteenth back to the forefront, and when March participants took the celebration back to their home state, the holiday was reborn. And what she asked me?
Didn't Hannah take her medicine?
Not yet.
I guess. Go ahead.
Okay. Though most states.
Savannah, you're a man. That backpack's too big for the baby. Do you see is it showing the baby, Gare?
Yeah, you got
it.
I don't know how to get it out. I'll get the pliers.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Though most states officially recognize Juneteenth, it's still not a national holiday. As a senator, Barack Obama co-sponsored legislation to make Juneteenth a national holiday. Though it didn't pass then, or while he was president, one supporter of the ideal is 91-year-old Opal Lee. Since 2016, Lee has been walking from state to state to draw attention to the cause.
Yeah, we know 45 ain't gonna pass it.
The Juneteenth flag designer L.J. Graff packed lots of meaning into her design. The color red, white, and blue echo the American flag to symbolize that the slaves and their descendants were Americans. The star in the middle pays homage to Texas, while the bursting new star on the horizon of the red and blue fields represent a new freedom and a new people. Okay. As the tradition of Juneteenth spread across the U.S., different localities put different spins on celebrations. In southern states, the holiday is traditionally celebrated with oral histories and readings, red soda water or strawberry soda, and barbecues. Some states serve up.
I didn't know that. I could have bought strawberry pop today. I'm gonna buy strawberry pop tomorrow and probably
do your little celebration.
Yeah, I gotta celebrate, represent.
Yeah. Okay. And some states serve up Marcus Garvey salad with red, green, and black beans in honor of the black nationalists. Rodeos have become part of the tradition in the Southwest, while contests, concerts, and parades are a common theme across the country.
I think that's
it.
What barbecue do you want tomorrow? Well, I know you don't like barbecue, but I would.
Barbecue chicken? We got chicken breast in there.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking real patties on hot dog buns. I mean, not hot dog buns, but hamburger buns.
I decided to try to think of something we already had here.
Well, I gotta go to the store anyways and get some strawberry pop.
Well, whatever. That's fine too.
But I mean, we can have barbecue chicken.
You know, we've got our apple butter. Barbecue sauce.
Which is Tennessee. Look up right fast, Scare, while I got you there. Look up because I looked it up last year, but I can't remember.
She's a big girl now.
She is a big girl. Look up what number Tennessee was in the recognition. I don't know what's the word I'm trying to think of. In recognizing Juneteenth. Yeah.
I'm a big girl now because I'm tall. I'm really tall.
Her looks like a little banana. A little tiny pumpkin head. Little tiny pumpkin sitting on my knee. Little tiny pumpkin. Little tiny pumpkin. Little tiny pumpkin. You do it. You do it.
Tiny bunny on my knees. Daddy.
Little tiny pumpkin. She's shaking her booty. Pumpkin. Little tiny pumpkin. You're a mess, man.
She made her day.
No, she shakes her butt when she says pumpkin. Little tiny pumpkin.
Tiny.
Hold on, I'm still trying to get there, honey.
Bunky. Tiny.
Here, man.
Bunky. Tiny.
Do you tell people why your mama's little buck chunks?
Cause
No, you're supposed to say, because you are mama's little baby.
Let me read this to you because I don't know.
Okay.
It's not saying exactly. It says, Tennessee recognizes Juneteenth as a state holiday or state holiday observance through a bill, House resolution, Senate resolution, and joint resolution. Representative Ulysses Jones, gets the number, passed in 2007. That's all it says.
I think I looked it up last year, but I don't know where that information is. Oh, yeah, it's fine. If I find it,
hold on, let me see this. Let me do it this way real quick. Don't give it up.
Well, I was just gonna say I'll put it in the second part of the video, because I'm doing this one the night before. I was gonna pre-do it, but I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was looking for the same clips that I had last year, and
Mommy, the baby's biting Hannah.
Well, don't let the baby bite Hannah. Not Tuesday, but Channel 10 News should cover it, because they covered it last year. And they was talking about specifically Tennessee. But I don't know. I guess I'll just put it in that other video.
Ouch.
Right. But y'all have a blessed day. Hopefully you enjoyed the first part of this one. Have a blessed day.